Hello and welcome everyone, this is Minu at AngloLink. Today we're going to look at the passive voice in English. First, we'll have a look at when we use the passive voice, and then we'll have a look at how to formulate passive sentences. There's a part 2 as well, where I have prepared some exercises for you. In order to get good at using the passive voice, you need a good mastery of all the English tenses. So if you have any doubts about any of the tenses, I would recommend that you watch my video called All Tenses First and do the exercises that go with that video, and then return to this one to learn the passive voice with me. By the end of this lesson, you'll have a good understanding of when to use the passive voice and how to formulate passive sentences. Right then, when you're ready, we can begin. The passive voice. What is the passive voice? A sentence generally begins with the performer of the action, which is the subject, then the verb, then the object or person that the action is performed on. This is called an active sentence. For example, the subject is John, the verb is cleaned, and the object is the room. Now, if we begin the sentence with the object or person that the action is performed on, we formulate a passive sentence. So, starting with the object, the room, then adding the verb, was cleaned, and if we want to add the person, the subject, we can use by. The room was cleaned by John. Note that not all verbs in English take an object. Therefore, some sentences are complete without an object. For example, John slept well, or John lives far away. This type of sentence cannot be changed into the passive voice. Right, let's have a look at when we should use the passive voice. There are two main cases. Firstly, when we do not know who the subject is, or it's not important who the subject is. For example, somebody cleaned the room. The room was clean. Or when it is obvious to the listener or reader who the subject is, because it is the person who usually does it. The cleaner cleaned the room. The room was cleaned. Let's have a look at how we formulate the passive voice. There are 3 steps. First of all, put the object of the verb at the beginning of your sentence. Then, conjugate the verb to be in the same tense as the active sentence. And finally, put the main verb in the past participle form. For example, the active sentence is the postman delivers the mail. Get rid of the subject. Put the object at the beginning of your sentence. Conjugate the verb to be in the present simple tense, is, and put the main verb in its participle form. Delivered. Let's look at another example. The decorator is painting my room. Here's the active sentence. Get rid of the subject. Put the object at the beginning. The tense is present continuous, so conjugate the verb to be in the present continuous tense. Is being. And change to painted. My room is being painted. One more example. Someone stole the money. Get rid of the subject. Put the object at the beginning, the money. Conjugate the verb to be in the past simple tense. Was. And change stole to the past participle form, stolen. The money was stolen. A few notes. First note, if you want to mention the subject in a passive sentence, use by. My room is being painted by the decorator. Note 2. If the active sentence begins with no one or nobody, the passive sentence will be negative. For example, no one turned on the light. The light was not turned on. And the final note, if there is a preposition between the verb and the object, the preposition will remain after the verb. For example, they talked about the issue. The issue was talked about. Okay, let's have a look at the passive voice of different tenses. Present simple. Active, I do it. Passive, it's done. Past simple, I did it. It was done. Future simple, I will do it. It will be done. Present continuous, I am doing it. It is being done. Past continuous, I was doing it. It was being done. Future continuous, I will be doing it. It will be being done. Present perfect, I have done it. It has been done. Past perfect, I had done it. It had been done. Future perfect, I will have done it. It will have been done. Present perfect continuous, I have been doing it. Not common. In fact, perfect continuous tenses are very uncommon in the passive voice. So, like present perfect continuous, we don't put past perfect continuous, I had been doing it, or future perfect continuous, I will have been doing it, in the passive voice. Keep these sentences to their active form. Right, let's look at a couple of other structures in the passive. In structures containing the infinitive, do, the passive is simply be done. For example, be going to, I am going to do it, changes into, it is going to be done. Have to, I have to do it, changes into, it has to be done. Used to, I used to do it, it used to be done. And modal verbs like can and may, with infinitive without to, I can do it, it can be done. And the final structure, in expressions containing the gerund, doing, the passive voice is with being done. Let's look at a couple of examples. Avoid. I avoid seeing him. The passive form would be, he avoids being seen. Or, with the expression I don't mind, in the active form, I don't mind teaching her. In the passive form, she doesn't mind being taught. Right, let's look at a person in the object position. We can also formulate passive sentences with a person in the object position. For example, somebody pushed me. You can say, I was pushed. They have invited us. We have been invited. Someone was interviewing Jane. Jane was being interviewed. Some sentences have both an object and a person in the object position. You can choose either one to formulate the passive sentence. For example, someone handed me a note. You could say, I was handed a note, or a note was handed to me. Another example, they have sent us a copy. We have been sent a copy, or a copy has been sent to us. Okay, it's time to look at some common mistakes. There are 4 common mistakes. The first one is changing the tense to a similar tense. For example, someone has reported the incidents. This is present perfect. It is a common mistake to say the incidents were reported, changing it to the past simple. Keep it to the same tense, present perfect. The incidents have been reported. Or among future tenses, for example, the active sentence is, they are going to build a church. And you may hear, a church will be built. Once again, the tense has been changed from going to will. Try and avoid that. A church is going to be built. Let's look at the second common mistake, which is forgetting the verb to be. Someone has reported the incidents. You may hear, the incidents have reported. The verb to be is missing. Let's add it. The incidents have been reported. They're going to build a church. A church is going to be built. The verb to be is missing. A church is going to be built. Moving on to the third common mistake, and that is using the present participle instead of the past participle. Someone has reported the incidents. The incidents have been not reporting, but reported. Or they're going to build a church. A church is going to be not building, but built. And finally, the fourth common mistake is confusing the plural and singular verbs or subjects. For example, someone has reported the incidents. Here, someone is singular, so the verb is has reported, whereas the incidents is plural, so you must say the incidents have been reported. Vice versa, they're going to build a church. A church, not are going to be built, because a church is singular, so a church is going to be built. Right then, that's the end of the lesson on the passive voice. I hope you've enjoyed it. As I said in the introduction, I have prepared an exercise video for you. If you'd like to practice what you've just learned, just click on the video. And as you know, there are also explanations and exercises on our website anglolink.com. Thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye now.